Hello guys, Brad here again, and this is basically just going to be a brief response video to Fragrance Wire's video that he had done about bottle sizes. And I pretty much agree with what he said. I do think the small bottles are the way to go for most people. It really depends on your fragrance habits and your collection size, I think. Like in my case, if you watch my channel, you know that I do typically review a sample perhaps every um, 4 or 5 days or so. I burn through a sample, do a review, and then move on to the next sample. So for me, the bottles at this point have become sort of a redundancy in my fragrance collection. And if I think back, about my purchases, I definitely wish I wouldn't have purchased the large bottles. Now, in some cases, there are a lot of fragrances that I do have where the small bottles really weren't an option. I know one time I bought a bottle of fragrance that was over 4 ounces in size just because that was the only size available. Um, but certainly, if that fragrance would have been available in a 1 ounce size, I would have gone that route instead. So then um, the whole thing boils down to, do you just buy something else, or do you go ahead and get the 4 ounce bottle? So sometimes you have no choice. I think if I had my way, I would be pretty content to own 20 or 30 ml decants of fragrances, made up by various splitters in the fragrance community. Of course, when something is split and bottled at home, it's hard to say if those fragrances are going to stay as fresh and not evaporate like they would in a bottle. I know when I had decants in little plastic atomizers and things like that, sometimes they do tend to evaporate and go away that way, unfortunately. So that's a shame. Also, uh, there's the domino effect. When I say the domino effect, I mean sometimes I've had a big stack of decants or samples laying up, and I knocked one over and they all fell down. So there's not a lot of stability. The containers do not stand upright as easily, and of course it looks a lot better to have the actual store bottle and not just a handmade label with something that says Green Irish Tweed or Aventus on it. So I mean, there is the personal aesthetics of having the actual bottle, and also splitting or getting in on like some decant swaps. It's always nice, I think, to have a few nice big bottles of some more hard to find or expensive juices in case you want to do a split or maybe just a decant swap with somebody. So those are factors to consider as well. But yeah, I kind of agree with this whole, skim the $25-$30 difference off and buy different things, because you figure in a typical year I will probably test, maybe 60, 70, 80 different fragrances. So in 1 or 2 years, my nose is discovering new fragrances, and at the same time, I'm becoming sick of other fragrances. So it's sort of an evolving process as well. A year from now, somebody like Kerosene or maybe Creed or Bond Number 9 will come out with another fragrance that will simply blow my mind, and then that will replace, my love for another fragrance that I currently think is enjoyable. Like I think about Series Number 7. I was blown away when I first smelled that one. Now I'm becoming kind of indifferent towards it, stuff like that. So these things happen. Once I see this mentality, at least with myself, where once I own the bottle and I've worn it for a couple months, it just kind of loses its appeal a little bit. So yeah, I would, go with the mentality of owning a lot of smaller bottles, even if it means getting the decants or whatever, the minis. If you can find minis, those are pretty nice as well. It's amazing how many sprays you can get out of a 5 or even a 7.5 ml mini, even though you might have to atomize that as well, because typically those don't come with sprayers. So I've had a lot of fun with those. So that's my quick response there to you, Fragrance Wires. Great topic for a video. I like to diversify, try new things. I always look forward to throwing away bottles so I can replace those bottles with other bottles. I just recently threw away my bottle of Hugo by Hugo Boss, which I've had in my collection since the 90s, and I was actually quite happy to finally toss that one away. So yeah, if I would have had the 3 or 4 ounce bottle of Hugo by Hugo Boss, oh man, I don't know if I ever would have gotten rid of that thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.